the demand. It looks like there's no end in sight for demand. How many ETF products do you think this market can handle?
Sure. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. It's definitely an exciting time. I do think that actually the market can handle a lot of different issuers products, and we very much welcome the competition. Obviously, we're coming in second to market here, but we're very excited. And again, wish our competition luck and excited to be here.
Well, on that note, too, explain the product itself a little more, because why buy an ETF for futures when you can buy, for example, the Bitcoin Trust that is trading at a discount and risk the roll fees that are associated with the futures product?
Sure, I think that's a very good question and actually addresses quite a few different concerns that people have. One, why choose a fund over owning Bitcoin directly? Two, there's the legacy product of GBTC. How is the ETF structure better? And maybe three, why is a futures-based ETF better than a physically backed? I'll start with your first question about roll costs. On that, we do plan on rolling into the next month's futures contract as efficiently as possible. And we do believe that our team's deep expertise in this market does give us an edge over the other offerings. And again, why choose this fund over owning Bitcoin directly when it's easy enough in the US? Again, Bitcoin is not a regulated asset in the US, but CME futures are. There's more efficient price discovery, and it does satisfy concerns around wash trading and inaccurate data. And lastly, there's no need to worry about risks around security and custody and the full faith of an SEC-regulated, NASDAQ-traded ETF.
Well, one concern I have is that I look at other futures ETFs. I look at USO, for example, and it's not unlikely that you see a 20% gain in oil and USO just standing still at the end of the year. So they may match quite well day to day, but when you look over longer periods of time, there's a lot of drift there. How do you manage that?
Sure. And that's definitely an interesting point, and again, something that we've been asked a lot recently. I do think that the market is large enough in order to handle the volume. I think that our team is absolutely packed with experts in the industry, and we're not at all concerned right now for that issue.
Leah, what about the future? Because to your point, why get a futures ETF when you can buy the physical itself? How far are we to getting to ETFs that are more linked to actual Bitcoin as well as other forms of cryptocurrencies?
Very good question. I've never been asked about what about other forms of altcoins in an ETF wrapper. But again, to the point of a spot Bitcoin ETF, we filed our spot Bitcoin ETF in January 22nd. That, of course, is, I think, the holy grail, and a lot of people do believe that. But unfortunately, it does appear to be far off and not likely to be approved this year. Given that reality, we're excited and focused on this future ETF offering at this time. To your point about other altcoins in an ETF wrapper, I think we have even longer time to wait.
In terms of a physical Bitcoin ETF, do you see that coming anytime soon? I mean, obviously, you've got them in other countries, notably for U.S. investors just north of the border there in Canada. Is the U.S. going to see that anytime soon?
Right. Yeah. Again, for that spot Bitcoin ETF, unfortunately, we believe that next year may be a good time for that to happen, but we don't believe that it's going to be approved this year.
So, again, I mean, we noted before you came on that the other ETF, the ProShares one, is actually down now, right? It's trading on about half the volumes than it was yesterday. And so what do you see as far as interest going into tomorrow, which is going to be your first day of trading?
Sure, I think that's a great question, and it's had an incredible trading span, especially those first 2 days. We're very excited about tomorrow, especially because we think we're quite different from ProShares. Other asset managers are in the ETF business, but I'd say we're embedded in the crypto markets. And I think at the end of the day, investors can choose whether they want subject matter expertise and the ability to pivot as needed, or they can go with a monolith that cares more maybe about launching their next fund and prioritizing this nascent asset class that we're new to. So I think, the market will choose, but I think that there's plenty of demand to be had, and everybody's looking at all of us issuers and determining not only who's the right fit with the vehicles, but who do they morally align with.
Well, on that note, is it safe to say, Leah, that you're a serial entrepreneur? I mean, do you start up businesses and then move on after a year, 2 or 3? How long do you plan on staying with this?
Wow. I wouldn't call myself a serial entrepreneur. I was involved with the co-founding of Veterati, a company that connects unemployed veterans to mentors and serves a job placement. But I've been in the RIA business for a while now, and Valkyrie is my future. My team is my family, and I don't plan on going anywhere.
Well, still focusing on tomorrow, just because this is kind of a landmark time for Bitcoin, frankly, as well as the ETF industry. Who's buying? Who's buying? I mean, is this mostly institutions, or are there mostly day traders that are picking up this product?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think especially in the weeks to come, as we're able to really analyze the data of the first few days of ProShares, ours, and VanEck, and others are to follow, I think that there's a lot of smart money that moved in first. I think retail is also there. But I think that that's a great question that we're keeping our eye on.